I honestly used to hate watercolor until I found this technique. So last summer, or the summer we just had, I was in Italy on a trip, on an artist retreat, and Alana, who was somebody that was helping co-teach, she was teaching watercolor. And she was about to have this lesson that she was going to teach everybody. And I thought, you know, I'm one of the teachers on this retreat. I need to learn what she's doing so I can help her, you know, one-on-one with the students. So we stayed up late at night, and she taught me and a few of the other girls that were teaching this watercolor technique. And I had this huge breakthrough in watercolor because I really did used to hate it. And what I hated about it is how tight it was. And I'm a very impulsive person. I like to paint quickly. I like to sort of make a big mess and then kind of pull it together. I like to be able to work with forgiving materials. And for me, watercolor was not forgiving at all. And I would mess it up all the time, and I wouldn't know how to like get it back. Or I could paint really, really methodically and realistically, but it was super tight and it got really boring. So I didn't know how to kind of bridge the two and make that sort of abstract realism type of art with it. And so I had this breakthrough, and now I really love watercolor, and I've been practicing a lot. I've been doing it a lot. And I am going to show you that technique in case you can relate to what I'm saying. And you've struggled with watercolor either by not being able to save the white, or you know, it's too tight, or it's not forgiving. And I'm going to show you how I go about it. So these are just some examples of turtles. If you haven't noticed, I've been painting a lot of turtles lately, and it's been, you know, turtle extravaganza. Oh, and we have a live chat. So Tanner, say hello.
Hello.
Tanner is going to help me with the live chat. So if you have questions or anything that you want to, you know, let me know. Tanner will help me with that, and I can get to any questions. So feel free to use the live chat. You can introduce yourself, tell us where you're watching from. That's always super fun to see. And also, I'm going to be giving away one of these watercolors. So if I actually make a really good one for you today, and because I'm kind of new to this technique, this is a little bit out of my comfort zone to be doing this live, especially with a medium very unpredictable where you can't really control it much, like watercolor. So we'll see what happens. I have a few that I've already, you know, worked on. So if I make bad art today, then we'll be giving away one of these good ones. So this is the right side up. Okay, so this is like an example of what I've been doing, this very abstract background. So this is kind of how it starts. And so I have a bunch of blanks here. I'm gonna show you that technique of how to get this sort of water feel. And this works for anything, abstracts, landscapes, portraits, anything that you want. And then from that, you can kind of render out something. And pull it from that, which is how I like to work with oil painting, and mixed media. Here is another example where there's that abstract background, and then I made little small turtles in there. Here's another one. This is one I just did last night for fun, and here is another one. And the other fun thing about watercolor that I've discovered is there's all these cool, like different kinds of mediums, like mixed media type of mediums that you can throw into it. So I have like some gold flakes here that are water soluble. This stuff that's like dye based that makes really cool like starbursts. I even have unicorn spit. I mean, that, if you want to know what unicorn spit looks like, it looks like this. This is unicorn spit. So can you see the shimmer? I don't know, does the camera show it?
Is it actually called unicorn spit?
It's called unicorn spit.
Wow.
So, okay, I am going to get started right now. I have, because watercolor has to dry and we don't have enough time to let it fully dry, I have 2 that are prepared and already drawn in. So this, I did the abstract last night, and then I don't know if you can see it, but very faintly with pencil, I drew a turtle that's right here, kind of coming out of this abstract. And then on this one, there's a bunch of like little silhouettes of turtles. So I'll finish these in a little bit, but first I am going to just make a mess here and show you how this works. So I guess I'll start with the small one. I also taped off the edges. I like to tape off the edges. It makes me feel more committed to the piece because I'm already imagining it finished and peeling the tape and having that satisfaction. So I really recommend that you tape it off. It gives you this, you know, even when I've made like watercolors that aren't that great, once I peel the tape, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So taping off the edges really just makes it look better. Now, sometimes I like to just wet the paper first. So I'm gonna start a few in a lot of different ways that I like to start. And when I'm working wet, where it's all gonna kind of run into each other, I like to use the same colors. So meaning things that are in the same family. So I have basically blues here. Now I can throw in this kind of greenish Davis gray, and later I can add some complements. But for now, I am gonna just stick with, I'm just gonna choose 4 colors because it's a small space. And I'm gonna stick with just all blues basically. So this is Prussian blue, and I'm just using it right out of the tube. So like I already told you, I'm very impulsive, and I'm just making like designs that kind of feel like water. So I'm imagining the light is up here. And
Yeah, I saw Elli do this technique for the first time today, and I was like, that's mind-blowing. It's just straight from the tube.
yeah, and you, have you done watercolors, Tanner?
I do every now and then. I want to explore it more.
Do you find it kind of like, I don't know, you know, tight?
You know, but I have the very bad habit when I do watercolor of over blending.
Yeah.
Like making everything smooth, and then you kind of lose what makes watercolor like watercolor. You lose that watercolor effect, but that's my current struggle I need to overcome with it.
Yeah, I've found that like you have these like dark heavy spots, and I just want to emphasize, I learned this from Alana, and she did a fabulous YouTube video of her kind of method in this the other day. So you can go watch that and see, you know, how she does it. So I like to kind of just use a brush and some water and just kind of work the edges so that it blends and you don't have like these harsh edges. And then it's important, I've learned, to keep some of the white in between. So if you overblend like Tanner just said, and you connect the water, like if I were to connect the water right here, it's gonna bleed into that. So I try to just keep some sort of dry paper, and it's good to have some parts heavy and some parts that are more light. And it's also okay to have some parts that do blend, right? Like this is starting to blend into that, and that's fine. So if everything is blended, then it doesn't look so good. And if you get a spot like right here where it's really heavy and I'm not sure I like that, then, well, it's okay.
So I was wondering if you have any tips to keep the paper from buckling when you get it so wet.
Oh, I just let it buckle. I mean, this isn't buckling real bad, but you're supposed to, I don't follow any of the real watercolor rules. I use white and opaque. So if you're looking for traditional watercolor, this is not your show. But they say that you can tape it down to a board, you can, pre-wet it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think the buckling kind of makes for some interesting things to happen because it gets like ridges. Also, high quality watercolor paper, I think, won't buckle as bad.
Yeah, and Alana is also here in the chat.
Oh, Alana, answer all their techie questions.
Right, I know. But she did say if you use 100% cotton paper, you'll have less buckling.
Okay. There you go. Alana, are you proud of me? Can you believe I'm doing this live? I mean, a few months ago in Italy, I wouldn't have thought. Okay, so the other thing about watercolor is you gotta know when to hold it, know when to just kind of stop, which is my weakness. That's what I'm not so good at. I think I'm gonna pull some of this lavender in here because I like how these lines are, but I don't love how those lines are. And so you can just, like how you're normally supposed to paint, just squirt it into your palette here. And this is an opaque. I like using the opaques because of stuff like this, because I accidentally mess things up sometimes, and I have to have a way to fix it. So just kind of running a little bit of an opaque in there can really help. Another thing I like to do, well, I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. We're just gonna let the water soak in, and I'm gonna move on to another one, and then I'll pull it back and show you other things you can do with it. Okay, so I'm gonna go for this big one here, and there we go. Okay. And I'll start a little different on this one. So this is a brush that is really great. I saw Alana using this brush and I thought, okay, I gotta have one of those because you can do so much with it. And one of the things you can do is you can start out like a little more dry with it. So like I'm not wetting the paper first. So if you remember on the first one, I did wet the paper first, and now I'm not gonna wet the paper first. I'm going to, and I'm gonna try a little bit of a complementary color here, which is always dangerous, but I'm gonna have it less watery and a little more controlled this time. So, we'll see how it goes.
Some bold things are happening.
Some crazy things. And I am trying to do things that look and feel like water, like underwater. So it has this kind of loopy sort of striation kind of vibe. If I was painting something besides turtles, maybe I would do something different. Not technique-wise, but just the shape. You're not supposed to get paper on the edges, but, oh yeah, it's taped. What am I doing? Okay. So I'm getting some wet, I think I'm gonna start with this blue. Typically you start with the lighter colors, but like I said, I'm breaking the rules. So you can just like move it and see how, because the paper is dry, it will just, almost kind of dry brush, but it is still wet. So you can do anything. You just kind of let it rip.
Yeah, I feel like so much of watercolor painting is just learning like how to control the water in it. Like the water is like the...
Yeah, not too much and not too little. And this is the cool things that can happen. And you want to leave some white, some dry white, like I did there. That was good, Elli. Good job. So, and then other times they can bleed in. So, and I'm gonna throw a little of this in there.
Oh, someone is actually asking how do you know how much of the white of the paper to leave?
I think it comes down to personal taste. I like to, I think it's good to, I don't know. I think that's too little. That's just what my gut says. It feels like, just like in regular painting, you want more, you want a balance. So you want a balance of value. And I think it's good to have some areas that are really heavily concentrated and some that aren't. So the same rules kind of apply. So I want to leave some white in here for, the turtle area. And I think I need a darker color. So I'm gonna use Payne's Gray. And maybe I'll mix the two kind of techniques and see what happens. Okay, so now I'm gonna introduce, while it's still wet, some complements. And I think here, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And a little peachy peach. And the opaques are heavier, so they will behave differently if you mush them into a transparent. So that's something else to kind of play with. And
that is true. That's actually something I've been playing around a lot with. I have this old sketchbook that I basically just use for watercolor abstracts at this point. And the way an opaque will kind of bleed into a wet transparent color, you get some really interesting things.
yeah. And sometimes I overdo it and I get too much water. And you can, I do have paper towels. So you can get paper towels and just kind of soak it up a little bit. Just on the edge there. And now I'm going to, it needs some darks. I feel like it's too light. And I want to put some darks in through here. Blah. Let's see what happens.
It's like the best phrase to hear when you're creating art. Let's see what happens.
Oh, I thought you meant blah.
That too.
So I'm going to put some water here and here. And then I'm going to tip it. And see how the dark is kind of almost transparently showing the lighter turquoise underneath? I think that's kind of cool. I don't want to obliterate this lavender I got going on. So it's the fun thing about watercolors, it is very intuitive, and you can just, I don't know, just see what happens. And
yeah, I think it's very much a thing where once you use it a lot and you kind of get a feel for the language of it and how it works, then you can kind of you start to speak in watercolor then, and then
Yeah, it definitely takes practice and understanding exactly what you just said, Tanner, what it does, the language of watercolor. So this is probably when I should cool my jets. And why am I talking like a grandma? That's what grandmas say. Cool your jets.
You are a grandma.
I am a grandma. But can you guys tell I'm having fun?
I can. This makes me want to do it. I should have brought some.
Okay, I'm supposed to be cooling my jets. Ooh, I just really like that. Okay, so that I'm gonna let sit here, and then I think this guy can come back because this is right at the right stage. It was a little too wet before, right here. So this is my ugly spot. So I'm gonna show you what do I do with an ugly spot. I forgot my main important thing I needed here. My cheat tool, which is opaque white. So this is actually acrylic matte. So this is a big no-no in watercolor world, but I don't care.
This is alternative watercolor here.
And because it dries matte, you can watercolor over it, almost like gouache, but it's immovable and it's stronger. So I actually prefer it to gouache or white watercolor. Now I do use white watercolor when I just want to blend things really nice. This is not going to blend. This is going to sort of sit on top and make, I'm emulating these little starburst things. And so I have this kind of ugly line there because I let it dry too much. I wasn't paying attention and it soaked into the paper. So taking this matte acrylic, it will kind of bleed into the watercolor and it'll dry just like this, which is always fun.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so interesting because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like for some reason, there's something about watercolor that a lot of people are kind of, they don't think to combine it with other art materials and stuff.
Yeah, and like there's something to be said about being a purist, and I honor that, and I like, I respect when that's a part of your art form and you are being a purist. That's, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. I'm just not one of those people. And I think there's also nothing wrong with not being a purist and just using the tool how you want to use it.
Yeah.
Even if it is sort of not traditional.
Someone's wondering, when you add your subject, do you sketch it out first or do you just wing it?
Well, I sketched this on top of winging it. So it's a combination of them both. If I were to sketch it out ahead of time and just, you know, go ahead and start painting, I have done that, and it's just so boring. I get just tired of myself. And it's like, I don't know, it's too tight for me. I don't enjoy it after a while. So as you can see, adding this sort of white into it while it's still behaving and bleeding into the watercolor can give you some different kind of feel or modulations. Another thing you can do, again, it's pretty risky, but we'll see what happens. This is called brusho, and Alana had this with her in black on the trip to Italy, and she had a white swimsuit. And even though she was very neat and tidy and careful with it, it still managed to get, I guess the wind blew. And next thing we knew, her white swimsuit was covered in brusho, and I guess it doesn't come out. So you can just tap it in. If your paper is too wet, what will happen is the brusho just bleeds like crazy and almost like just runs into each other. So I kind of wait until it's not so wet. And this is turquoise. And see, it's too dry there, so it's not working. But it's working really nicely right there. And it just makes these neat like bursts. So I'll show you on a blank piece of paper here. We'll just have some fun with brusho, just to show you what they do. And then I'm gonna start painting a turtle. So, I'm gonna get the paper wet. And So this is that turquoise. And as you can see, it goes, isn't that fun?
That is so fun.
So I'm gonna do all the colors so you can see what it is. This is indigo. No, this is, yeah, indigo. And look, they bleed into each other. And this one is Terra Verde. And they have kind of multiple colors.
Can you move the acrylic, whatever that is? Yes.
And then this is burnt orange.
Ooh.
It's sort of like the alcohol ink of watercolor, maybe.
Yeah.
But you could probably use alcohol ink with watercolor also. Oh, and then if you want to see what unicorn spit looks like.
I've always wanted to see what that looks like.
It's basically shimmery, gelatinous paint. So you can put it, directly on the water like this, or you can put it over a dark, and I don't know if you can see the glitter, but it's very glittery. And you can put it really thick like that.
That is a very appropriately named art supply.
I know. Somebody gave this to me. Catherine gave this to me. Okay, and then here is gold. So it's water soluble, so you can brush it like this, and it kind of works almost like brusho, kind of. And it'll dry in the water in place. Or you can sprinkle it. So that's all the fun stuff. Because I like things that are shimmery and glitter and, this unpredictable stuff. To me, it is super fun. What color is this? Oh, ultramarine. Well, we can't leave out ultramarine.
That random cat said, I saw this in Alana's video and thought, that brush show about to be brushing them dollars right out my wallet.
I mean, that's kind of cool in itself, and there's no watercolor yet. Oh, if this dries by the end, which it might, I will do a transparent over it of watercolor, and we'll see what happens, because the brusho is a dye, so it doesn't pick up, it doesn't blend after it's been, after it dries. So that could be something fun. I've never tried that before. All right, so now what are we doing? I guess I'm gonna work on this. Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit time consuming. So if I don't finish it, it'll be almost finished. Maybe I will finish it. But if I don't, then I'll finish it after, because I think it'll be what we do for the giveaway. Did I mention there's a giveaway? I did mention that, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So you don't want to miss that.
And we're finding out together what the giveaway will be.
Huh?
We're finding out together what the giveaway will be.
Well, we'll see how this comes out. Maybe it'll be this painting right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, I am not super traditional. I like to kind of do it my way. I don't know 100% what the right way is, but I'm doing this turtle right here. So this is the turtle. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. There's some orange in there. You definitely want to start light though. But what I've discovered lately, because I know with watercolor you're supposed to go light to dark, but what I've been doing lately is light like till a mid-tone, then I go dark and then back to mid-tone. And that's probably not the way you're supposed to do it, but it's the way I've been doing it, and it's been working pretty good.
So I'm curious, Ellie, why all the turtles? I feel like you're surrounded by so many turtles right now.
I know. Well, I started painting turtles maybe like a year ago. Nah, probably like 8 months ago. And I'm trying to remember why I even did it to begin with. Oh, how it started is I did a octopus because I just kind of saw an octopus in my painting. And then I liked it and it sold right away. And so I was trying to think of another kind of sea creature to do because I was kind of in a role of doing that. And so I thought, oh, a sea turtle, they're cute. But I didn't think too much of it. And then it sold right away. And then I, just kept doing more and more of them, and they kept selling. So it was until recently that I kind of realized why. And for me, I have another YouTube video out on this channel about a near-death experience I had when I was a teenager. And it absolutely changed my life, having that experience. And what it did for me is it made me realize that life is, kind of precarious. And, you could, because I was, let's say, spared, or I lived through it, I felt like it's for a reason. And, in a way, I cheated death. And a few years ago, when I was in Mexico on a retreat, we let little baby sea turtles go into the ocean. And we learned on that trip, or I learned, other people probably already knew, but I learned on that trip that sea turtles, only 1 in 1,000 live past, into adulthood because they get eaten up by birds. A lot of the times they're born in the middle of the day, and they, their natural instinct is to go into the water, and on their way to the water, birds eat them. And so really sad, but that's how it is. And so it occurred to me that every adult sea turtle is like a walking miracle. And I felt like that because I wasn't supposed to live. It was a miracle that I actually lived through that experience. And so I kind of feel a little bit like that sea turtle, a sea turtle that makes it. And anyway, I just kind of connected that recently, talking in a meeting with some coworkers. And so even though I had painted them without even realizing why, now I kind of think that's why. And I love to paint about themes about like destiny and purpose, and why we're here and making an impact, things about empowerment. And so it makes sense to me, why a sea turtle. So I have a whole collection of sea turtles, and I just made prints of them. And many of you have bought, I think the prints came out yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
And so many of you have bought them, and I'm just so thrilled, and I'm so happy that they've, touched so many people. And the print quality, actually, this is a print right here. So the color is just really true to the original, and I'm super happy with how they came out. And
yeah, they came out really good. In fact, we posted a reel having one of the real paintings and the prints, and a lot of people and we told people to guess which one is the painting. A lot of people are guessing wrong because the prints are that good.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing about this kind of watercolor painting that I'm doing right now, this is kind of the tight stuff. And I guess like in a way, I like doing it because it just having like this kind of abstract for me sometimes isn't enough, and I want something more, than just an abstract. So for I guess this, having something kind of more realistic satisfies that. But it does take some time, and I guess as a teaching thing or to like fill you in on, how I do things, I make mistakes all the time, when I'm doing watercolor. And I don't want to sit here and stress about what am I doing wrong and what order do I do this in, and oh no, I didn't save enough white. Because like this is an area right here on the neck where there's some light values mixed in with these dark values, and I can't be stressing out about, did I save enough white? And because that's why I used to hate watercolor, because it would stress me out because I would blow it, whenever I was painting. And so now I've just kind of shed the shame of using white. So as long as I can use white, I'm good, because I'm going to go back in and I'll add a little detail with white and everything's fine. And it doesn't look bad. It looks good. Maybe it doesn't look like a traditional watercolor, but who cares? That's for other people that enjoy that and want to do that. And are good at it. I just don't like doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and I feel like that is the biggest thing that turns people off from watercolor is that fear. Because like when you look up like how to watercolor paint, the first thing you see is like make sure you save enough white of the paper. Yeah,
and that's the part that's no fun. I saw actually Alana gave it to me. I love it. She made this painting in watercolor with gold watercolor gesso from Daniel Smith. Oh. And so there's no white. There was never any white on the paper. And so it came out really cool. And she didn't use white. It's just like gold and the watercolor.
That sounds so cool.
So here is an edge that is white, and what you're supposed to do is that. So I can comply a little bit, and you have to kind of blend in this turtle anyway into the background. So I do kind of try to do it, but if I mess up, it's okay because I can just paint it white. So I don't know. I would love to know in the chat, like when you guys do watercolor, do you cheat like me and use white, or are you good at saving the white? And does that stress you out or make you feel too tight?
There are some people that are saying they love using white at the end. So okay. There's others out there. We're starting a revolution, changing the watercolor game.
So what I like about this technique is you do this kind of abstract, right? And you can go in now that you know where your turtle is going to be, and you can even like kind of like outline the belly, so I know where the borders of this are. You want to do it in a way that is a little bit messy so that it blends in with the abstract that's there. So this is like my dark edge.
Yeah, someone said they use white and masking. Do you ever use things like Frisket or masking liquid?
I tried that, but again, it makes me really tight, and I don't enjoy it. And then you have to kind of blend out all of that, or at least I do. And I haven't found too much luck with that. I don't enjoy it. I might enjoy Frisket if I used it maybe in a way you're not supposed to.
That's true. You got to find the alternative way. Someone's asking, do you think watercolor is harder than acrylic or oil?
I mean, I think I used to think that, but now that I've kind of used it more, it's just like anything. Like oil for me is super easy and fun because I know it so well. And like I just dry brushed on top of semi-wet to give the illusion of this fin here. And then if you go in with the white in the cracks, you've got a fin. So I didn't have that figured out, you know, a year ago. And so the fact that, so I think it's just like anything. I don't think that acrylic is any easier than oil or oil any easier than acrylic. It's what you're used to. It's how you know, how much you've used it. So, but to integrate your subject with the background, right? So I'm giving like a hint of the fins here and a hint of the belly, right? And he's going to be kind of obscured into this abstract here. Like he's emerging out of it and coming and going. Of course, the fin and everything will be rendered more, but you can go back in and, you know, hit it with some more, you know, abstract.
Someone's wondering if the same rules of warm and cools, like oils, applies to watercolors.
It does, but what I have found is there's enough pigment load in watercolor where you can see it. But the issue is that when it's diluted with water like it is and it dries, I don't think that it shows up because the pigment concentration isn't so high. So if you really want something to pop, you can get a warm like cad red or anyway, a warm orange or warm red, and you can put it in a heavy dose, almost like pure paint, and not dilute it with too much water. And then, yes, it will really, really pop, and it'll come forward. And you could do the same thing with a cool. So the warm and the cool do work, but because they are diluted so much with water, you only see it when it's heavy. But it is kind of fun to play with that at the end. And just like normal painting, I like to work thin to thick. So
yeah, how much overlap have you found between, like, now that you've done more watercolor painting and it's no longer your enemy, how much overlap do you find between like watercolor painting and like oil painting? Like, are they more similar or more different, do you think? I know that's a tough question, actually.
I think they're pretty different, but you can start a oil painting similar to watercolor, like
that's true.
by thinning it a whole lot and, you know, watching it really, by thinning it a lot and watching it kind of move and morph in, you know, with itself. So I think there's some aspects. You can also spray like rubbing alcohol into oil and it'll behave like watercolor a bit. So there's lots of things. A class that I'm really excited to teach that's coming up this spring is a mixed media oil class. So it's only oil, so there'll be no acrylic or water-based material, but it'll I'm going to show you like how you can use oil in a mixed media way. So like by mixing different drawing materials, alcohol inks, powdered charcoal. There's just so many things that you can do with crayons and solvents, and we use a non-toxic solvent, but that you can, just really do some cool things with oil. Because a lot of times I hit the same roadblock with oil that I do with watercolor, in that if I get too tight too quickly, and then I end up, with nowhere to go except tight. And then I get super irritated and it's not fun anymore. And I need to, throw in some loose, crazy things. So I've learned what materials you can use with oil to do that. And it's really changed everything for me when I get tight too soon. So I'm really excited about that coming up.
Speaking of
Because
that,
I've never taught it before.
Yeah. And kind of speaking of that, someone was wondering, with watercolor painting, could you start a painting with watercolor and then finish it with oil?
You can, but I think the oil is pretty darn bossy, and you're going to lose a lot of that watercolor. So I think you can, but I haven't done it, and I would just use acrylic inks myself. I like watercolor for traveling, in the house. It's just really like convenient. And if I was in my studio and I had like a big canvas, I wouldn't use watercolor. I would use acrylic ink, because you can get a lot of like really cool bleeding and different things with that.
So would you say watercolor is something every artist should at least try out and maybe like at least learn the basics of?
If you had asked me a few months ago, even though whenever I did do watercolor, I did kind of like secretly enjoy it to some degree. I mean, we taught, Alana, Dimitra, and I taught a watercolor class, and I taught in there. It was more like how to break the rules and, non-traditional stuff, and it was landscape. So I like working with it very loose. But now that I've kind of figured out how to marry the loose and the tight together, I think it is something worth learning and trying, because it makes you a better artist. I just feel like any kind of technique or skill that you can learn and other mediums push you. I heard Alana say this, and I can totally relate. I think it makes a lot of sense. You, with watercolor, you can be pretty free because it's just a piece of paper. And who cares? It's a little piece of paper that sometimes doesn't even cost $1, or it's a couple bucks. And there's really no pressure to, be super fabulous. And so you can just try stuff and loosen up, and I think it can grow into other things and become something in your work. So I think it's really good to learn watercolor, learn some techniques. I mean, hopefully watching this has inspired somebody, inspired you guys to give it a try if you were like me and, didn't really like it. So yeah, I think every artist should. I know I was kind of a big baby about it for many years, and I used to say all the time, "Ugh, I don't like watercolor," because I didn't, and it was just too rigid. But now that I've kind of figured a way that works for me, I do like it. And so I wouldn't want anybody to miss out like I missed out by avoiding it all these years. I mean, I don't know. Every time we went on a retreat, we would do watercolor, because we would have that on the retreats. And I would see Dimitra doing it, and I would try it. And I did a couple things that weren't so bad, but overall, it wasn't my preferred medium, for sure. Mm-hmm. And it's still not my preferred medium, if I'm honest, but I definitely like it. I would say oil is my preferred medium.
Well, I think you definitely have somewhat of a mastery over watercolor now, because looking at where your turtle started from just a sketch to where it is now, someone else even said that in the chat too, that it's kind of amazing. You feel like you could paint a turtle with your eyes closed at this point?
I don't know. What was it? Was it yesterday? Oh, yeah, I did that speed turtle in 3 minutes without looking. That's funny. Yeah. Well, based on that painting, I would say no, I need to look at a source.
Yeah. What inspired you, kind of jumping off the idea of turtles, what inspired you to launch a series of prints off your turtle paintings?
Well, honestly, because I don't release prints that often, but honestly, I just thought, because I know how it affected me, just hearing, I think there's, a 1 in 1,000 shot or chance in all of us. All of us have had some, if we haven't in our lives had a near-death experience, I think that our dreams have had a near-death experience. How many times have we put our dreams on a shelf and they collected dust, and then, one day they get resurrected and they kind of rekindle within us, and we start to believe again that we can achieve our dreams. And I feel like every one of us can relate to that. And so I think there's something about these turtles that just resonates. And I just really felt like a lot of people needed to have these in their home. And my hope is that they are, they're inspired by them and make them feel like, their life matters and their life counts. And they're here for a reason, and their dreams matter, and they're worth pursuing, and you're going to make it. You're going to be able to achieve your dreams. That's just going to happen. And so I feel like these turtles, this sort of perseverance, this determination, the longevity that they represent in their life, I think is a reminder to us all about that.
Wow, that's so interesting. Turtles, they have like a 1 in 1,000 chance of surviving hatching, but if they do, they can live for like a really long time.
I know, it's like winning the lottery. Yeah, totally. I feel like this has to be darker right in here so that otherwise he's like a turtle with no pants on,
Every turtle needs a good pair of pants.
Totally.
I've always said that. Someone was wondering in the chat about gouache. Do you ever use gouache?
Yeah, I like gouache. I mix gouache with watercolor sometimes because it's opaque and it covers a multitude of sin. And I need that in my life.
Oh, this is an interesting question that I've never thought about, but is there a wrong side of the watercolor paper to paint on?
Is Ilana still here? I hope so. I was wondering that myself because I felt like my paper wasn't behaving properly, but I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either.
Maybe she's still listening. She can tell us.
No. She said no.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
It was just me. It wasn't my paper.
I mean, that makes sense. That'd be kind of, I don't know. I don't know how paper making works. I'm not gonna open this can of worms.
Well, you would think it would have to come with directions if that was the case, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna email paper manufacturers, like, you didn't include directions and I used it wrong. I need a refund.
Okay, well, I think we should do a giveaway. Do you know how to do that, Tanner? Because I don't.
I do know how to do it.
All right.
All right.
So, yeah, you guys, if you are digging the turtles, and that story is resonating with you, and you want one on your wall, this print sale is only going on between now and it ends Sunday. So, and then the turtles are going away. So be sure to check it out. You can go to my website, ellimilan.com, and I have a bunch of blogs too, all about them, that I've published in the last couple weeks. So those are worth reading. I think that they're inspiring. And so yeah, we want to give away, it's gonna be this painting, finished though, it'll be finished, and I'll peel the tape and it'll look really nice, and we'll send it to you. So that's, and this obviously is an original, not a print, and
it would pair nicely with some prints though.
it sure would.
All
Okay.
right. So to enter the giveaway, you just have to have at least commented at least once in the video, but you know, feel free to comment more, or in the chat, right in the chat, and we'll run the little program and we'll see who's going to win.
I'm excited.
All right. We're just waiting for it to spit out a name. And the name it spit out is, come on, give it to me. I'm just really building up the anticipation, I know.
That would be so funny if it was Alana.
I was thinking that. I was like, would I redo it? Okay. The person who will be winning this painting is Carriation. Carriation.
Yay, Carriation.
So Carrie, send an email to info@milanart. They will get your information and get you this watercolor painting by Elli. Just email info@milanart.com.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
All right. This was so fun. We should do watercolor painting more often, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little nerve-wracking, but now that I've done it and I'm through it,
Now you're a pro.
I don't feel so worried about it. Okay, well, yeah, get some watercolor paper, get some watercolors. Our watercolors are fantastic, and I like these because they're tubes and you can do that kind of thing. But then you can also put them in a palette. And they don't crack. They're designed to either be like this or in a palette, and they won't crack. So most tube watercolor will crack if you put it in a palette. So that's what I really like about these. They're very versatile and you can travel with them. So I hope this inspired you. I hope that you want to try this technique with your own watercolors, and don't listen to tradition. You can use white. I'm even using acrylic white. So it really does help. And congratulations to Carrie Nation.
Carriation, yeah.
Huh?
Carriation.
Oh, Carriation, not Carrie Nation. Okay. Carriation for winning this watercolor. I will finish it, and hopefully it'll look really good, and we'll send it to you. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. and go check out these turtle prints. And I'll see you next time.